Hello, good day to another episode of Elephant in the Room. It's a very gloomy and raining Thursday here in Klang Valley. I think, Zorab just tuned in to say heavy rain in PJs, yeah. Perth as well, Sujit Bhagwan say heavy and cold and raining at Perth too. So whichever the weather is, we hope that you are keeping warm. So as you tune into our show, because we have a very exciting show for you today, okay? So how's things on your end, Taranjeet?
Cold, wet, and gloomy with lightning. I swear to you, but it's good. I'm not complaining. It's a nice reprieve from the heat of this morning, which is nice, and it's going to be a very nice, cool breeze coming in during the evening. So yes, everything is good. We've got a good activity or a lineup this evening, I must say, Muyan, and I like how it's been progressing along. The focus that we are having this time around is on the reality that we are experiencing now.
Yeah.
Today, our focus will be on the impact that COVID has had on global related outfits. And one such global related outfit is Sime Darby Oils. And we are pleased to have with us Adly Walid, who is the head of HR for Sime Darby Oils. And there are operations that the company has in APAC, EMEA, and Oceania. So there's a tremendous diversity of geographies that the organization is playing in. Interestingly enough, Adly has started his career in Sime Darby Motors many years back as a management trainee. This was in 2008. He then traversed and moved along to Sime Darby Group, after which time he joined a global human capital consulting firm, and that's where my relationship with him started. It was an excellent working relationship I had with him. Then he's returned back to Sime Darby fold, where he led the organization development and talent within Sime Darby Plantations. And today, Adly is sitting as the HR head with the Sime Darby Oils Group. What an amazing progression. We are absolutely delighted to have Adly join us today in Elephant in the Room. Adly, welcome.
Hi,
Hello.
hi everyone. Hi, Mohan, Taranjeet. Thank you for having me today.
It's our absolute pleasure, Adly. It's always great to have you. It's always great to meet up with you anytime. And what better time than today in Elephant in the Room? So let's not detain the discussion any further. Muihan, over to you, my friend.
Sure, see you in a short while. So before we get into things, I just want to quickly welcome all of our audience. You just tuned in to Elephant in the Room. Welcome again. And today our guest is Adly Walid from Sime Darby Oils. He's the head of HR there. I want to really do some quick shout outs to all our audience. Of course, Sujit and Balwan from Perth. Thank you for tuning in. Our good friend Zorab, who has been on our show twice as a guest. We also have Dr. Michael Heng from Singapore, and also my good buddy Chong Sulim. Thank you for all tuning in. So, right, so let me just get into the mode of questioning. And Adly, first question to you is how does MCO, or even what we call the global COVID impact crisis, what has it done to an organization like Sime Darby Oils, which is very big, and what is the impact? Maybe you can share with us at the higher level in that sense.
Okay, thank you, Mohan, for that question. Well, to begin with, I think it's not something that is just a purview of Sime Darby Oils. I think it's all organization that is globally in operation will have an impact to this, right? I think the major impact will actually be distributed, if I may put it across, into a 3P bucket. So I think the first one definitely is your profit. It has a major impact in terms of that. In terms of your processes, I think because when you are running a global organization, right, so a lot of your mobility in terms of people, mobility in terms of your products, mobility in terms of how you work actually is impacted. And definitely the last bit is actually your people, right? The view is how are the people delivering the performance of your organization. That's definitely the major impact that I am actually currently viewing and also experiencing in view of Sanabi Ops. Pretty much where we are and where we are currently experiencing is something that is new, something that we have never actually foresee in such a manner, but I think we are progressing in a manner that is enough to actually be resilient. So that's where I think we are, and the impact to us particularly. Okay.
Excellent. I like it.
Yeah.
And I like your three Ps, profitability, processes, and people. So let's
Yeah.
take this one step further down, if I may,
Yeah.
Adly. Let's
Yeah.
talk about specifically the MCO.
Mm-hmm.
The last, we're currently in what, day 68, day 69 or thereabouts. How has this now impacted Sime Darby Oils in the way in which people are interacting with each other, in the
Yeah.
way that they're interacting with their clients, their customer
Yeah.
base?
Yeah.
What's the deal there, Adli?
Okay, allow me to just shed a bit in terms of how Sanabi Oil is operating, right? So the view is we are driven in three core functions, right? We have our production, which is our manufacturing. Then we have our commercial. This is where we do trading. This is where we do sales and marketing. And we have the enabler and support function. This is where all the compliance, the risk, the operational excellence is being driven. So I think contextually, when we look at each of these operation, right, and this what we call families or job families, the impact is definitely across all, right? In terms of MCO, to begin with, I think when it started in Malaysia, the first view was operation got impacted in terms of manufacturing, because the view is what was approved is for us to run at 50% capacity, right? In view of that, running from a 3-shift operation to a 2-shift operation, it was a challenge. And at the same time, from that perspective, how are we going to ensure that the SOP that the KKM is actually putting in place are being adhered upon? So KKM here being our Ministry of Health, in view of how the social distancing that needs to happen, in view of how we treat our customer coming in, our vendors coming in, our logistic partners coming in, all of that is actually really, really impacting the day-to-day business operation. The next to the manufacturing operation is once the finished good is ready. So the question is how the impact comes is where our salespeople can't really meet the customer face to face, right? So the view is how then are we going to be able to start doing sales, start closing deals, right? So this is where it impacts also in terms of the destination sales that we are going in because of the border closing and everything. So the question is, how are we going to move our products, let's say from Indonesia down to Netherlands, right? So that has actually given us a view of the normal way of doing things might not work now. So the question is, how can we then build a workaround to ensure that we still can stay afloat and ensure that our customer needs is being managed, our people needs based on their because they do have concern, they do have even concern coming to work, because to them, am I risking my health coming to work, right? So those are items that on HR perspective, as much as we are building and meeting the needs of the customer, we also need to ensure that the needs and the health of our employees be managed, right? So
Excellent.
the impact is across, even in terms of our support function, the risk that we need to take, the banking approach that we need to ensure, the receiving, trying to get back money, because all about trading is not just moving items. It's about then how can we get the cash flow back into the organization so that we can refund and start to repurpose that value. So that's where we are, and I think the impact is, I would say one-off. It's imminent. It will continue to stay. The question is how resilient we can be to weather the.
And that's a really good point. And I have a second follow-up question to deep dive even further. To be fair, you've mentioned earlier upfront, we've never experienced anything like this before. We've had one or two one-offs in terms of flus here and there, but nothing this pandemic in this nature.
Yes. Yes.
Question then comes in is, how well equipped are our people to manage something like this?
Okay.
Or they have not been equipped at all, to be fair, because we've never had
Okay.
this opportunity. And
True.
if so, what was the infrastructure or the platform that you have put into place to support this change that is expected? So let's talk about nitty-gritty, Adly, because this is what today is all about. It's about
True.
doing things.
True.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that, Adly?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, not just Sime Oz, I think all other organizations in the world, those who are, I would say, in terms of maturity, in between going towards progressive organization. I think the view is all of us were taken aback into this, right? Yes, we do have our normal development being put in place, ensuring that people are being developed consistently based on technical, based on leadership. However, I think when this happened, the pandemic happened, the MCO, it was really quite a sudden impact. And where we see, thankfully, there's two components here. The day-to-day operation development has been put in place. However, when we talk about reducing the workforce, stopping in terms of certain level of processes, certain individual that needs to now be working from home, right? Where before they are fully operationally in office, right? It means that if anything happens in the refineries per se, that somebody can just go in straightforward and say, okay, this is how we're going to manage it. Right. So to say that we are ready, I would say as an organization, we are 30-40% there. However, we realize that there are a lot of things that we need to further enhance and strengthen. Okay. Particularly in terms of how our leaders are managing new things, managing what we call items that we never encountered before, managing how to deliver what are the agreed deliverables in terms of performance while not being able to actually be in fronting to each other. What we have done technically is looking at a couple of things. One is the infra. Two is actually the soft bit, which is on the human capital and people side, right? So the infra definitely, first thing first, in our refinery, to ensure that the health of our and welfare of employees is being managed. So we have done in a manner where we maneuver in terms of our infra. Just to give a simple example, even our canteen, before where we say that everyone can just have a good time, chit chat, and have a great time having lunch. But now we say that unfortunately we have to distance yourself. We would actually rather than get them to have lunch there, we provided free packed lunch so that they can take the packed lunch and have them eat their lunch at the really designated area. So we just need to actually get them in the scenarios where the spread can be stopped. In terms of those who are actually needing to work at home, so the view is what we have done is to ensure that those who are currently working in office with a desktop setup, we say that let's get them laptops so that they can work at home. To a certain degree, the organization has agreed to say that let's also fund and pay certain part of their broadband costs so that they can work from home. Then we introduce multiple channels so that they can actually come together and have a conversation. We put in Microsoft Teams, we put in Skype for Business, and we definitely allow Zoom to a certain degree. So the whole idea is about enabling, because for an organization to say that for us to do this, we want our employee to give the productivity that we want. If we're not enabling them, you don't talk about productivity, right? So that's where we are to a certain degree. Even where we ensure that those with families, school is not open, right? So we say even until today, if those with young families that needs to be working from home because their kids are at home, they don't have place where they actually want to place their kids and support system for that, we say that you can actually work from home until you find a solution for this. So we're not saying that now we open, everyone needs to be in office fully. right? It doesn't work in that manner because we need to ensure that we are enabling to a certain degree that our people are having the right motivation to actually deliver that productivity. And at the end of the day, definitely trust. That's what we need, definitely.
Great.
Yeah.
So on that point, I wanted to just share one idea that I got from one of the multinationals because this working from home is also I mean, we have raised this topic several times in the past
Yeah.
because when
Sorry.
you're at home, then especially those with young children and your kids like 5 years old and
Yeah.
below, you find that
Yeah.
it's very hard to manage multiple things and still not
Yeah.
be the parent at the same time. I'm sure anybody with young kids will have this feeling. So this
Yeah.
particular organization actually did this. What they have done is they know that their managers or their staff need to have constant video calls, and sometimes it's back to back, 10 to 12 hours a day. And with the kids around, and sometimes you are two minds, you can't multitask in that sense. So what the idea
True.
is they actually allow so-called if you can just book a slot for nanny, virtual nanny, which is the other colleague, to actually play with your kids online for that 2 hours so that you can fully focus into your meetings. So that was something that I thought was really quite nice in that sense. Okay, I got two things from Zorab here. Zorab said that he met you once upon a time in Harvard Business School event 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Whether you remember him. And he has a question. So he said, what company is specifically doing now is to ensure the workforce delivers, people managers managing remote as well as on-site teams as in keeping their morale up. So maybe just wanted to get your perspective on this statement in that sense.
All right. Hi, Zorab. I think I remember. Yeah, I remember that meeting. I think I was with UMW at that point of time. So, okay, to look into your question, right? There's quite loaded question here. There's a couple of points that is being asked. I think at the end of the day, we talk about workforce delivers, right? So because people managers has always been in a manner where if it's possible, I want to be seeing my people doing their job in front of me. That's the basis of how most GLC is being brought up in terms of an organization, right? So this is where they felt that if the person is not in front of me, my question is are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they delivering? Okay, so what organization should do, definitely, if we can, I mean, these are things that's being discussed, I mean, quite a number of times. So one, definitely really set that right achievable target for the week, because we have KPI for the years, right? But the question when it comes to remote working, we need to then granularize this KPI to ensure that we keep it in a manner where we can have constant viewpoint milestone throughout the time frame that is slightly easier for us to break it down. For example, let's do weekly, right? Then it's easier for us to say, okay, this week, these are the key deliverables that I need from you, right? So list that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? That is something that is achievable. It's a work towards the full, let's say, month deliverable. Rather than we say that I want to see a month deliverable, but it's too far-fetched that in the next couple of days, you don't see things are moving. You start saying that, hey, my guy's not working. Sorry to say, my guy's productivity is so out of the window, right? So to me, I think if you can granularize your deliverables to a level where your people can easily, not just the employee and also the line manager themselves can actually come to a conclusion. Yes, 1 day I've delivered this, 2 day I've delivered this, 3 day I've delivered this. So then you actually seeing things are being moved, trust is being built, because that is where the lack of today is. Because when you can't see, it's not that thing is not moving. It's just that because you're looking at it at a too big of a lens and too far of a lens that you can't see it. If you can granularize it, good, great. At least then you can start seeing movement, and you yourself as a people manager thinks that, okay, I'm not going to be killed by my boss later on because my teams are actually doing things. And I can report to my boss, these are the things that has moved.
Very nice. And I think you've hit the nail on the head here, especially if we talk about progression of that particular piece of work. It is short enough to be in your face, but it's still a way that you don't interfere at a micromanagement level. I like it.
Yeah.
And Chubun, if I may request your support there, Muihan, there you go. Company now has to adopt a results-oriented versus a task-oriented, and which is
Yeah.
exactly what this is about. Dr. Michael Heng raised a very interesting question. How do you deal with the psychological trauma suffered by some of the staff? And we're assuming that, you know, people, I mean, we had Malati on board from Brisbane a couple of days back, and she focused, the entire 30 minutes was focused on the impact of health and well-being, and
Yeah.
mental health rather, in the workplace. What are your thoughts on this, very quickly, Adly?
Okay, thank you. I think when we talk about human capital, right, you can't run away about talking about their well-being, both physical and mental, right?
Yes.
It's not a topic that organization in Malaysia want to talk about more, right? This is, to them, is a bit, these are European areas and things that we don't touch. We don't talk about this, right? It's not just a matter of
Yes.
organization, schools, name it. It's a country elements, right? I mean, having said that, we do have businesses in overseas, particularly in Netherlands, right, where they can just say that while driving to work today, I saw an accident, traumatized, I cannot come to work, right? So prospectively, what that is a story in Netherlands, but in Malaysia, what we are doing at this stage, particularly if I can just take this as a step back in the overall Sanabi plantation perspective, not just Sanabi oils, what we have done is we created a call line, what we call it, if I'm not mistaken, it is in Malay, what we call it a open channel where employee can dial in if they felt that they are in a psychological areas, because some of them have issues, right? But bear in mind, with the happening of MCO lockdown and everything, not just in Malaysia, across the globe, the rate of divorce has increased, right? So that itself, not just talking about work, it's talking about family, right? So this is where I think on our end, we have created that call center for people to actually are able to dial in and actually put across their concern. We do hire, we do place quite a number of individuals that is trained in terms of giving feedback and on that level, so that they can actually put across. Same time also, we ensure that as much as possible, even nowadays we're talking about mental well-being, mental wellness. There's something that it's progressing. We're slowly looking into it. I won't say that we are there yet as an organization, but as I said, this is the taboo that nobody wants to talk about, right? So, but we are slowly looking into this. We are working with partners to see that how best that we can deploy this at the scale and an impact that we think, not in a manner encroaching those who doesn't want to be talking about this, right?
Yes.
So
because there's a level of sensitivity.
Yes, correct.
Absolutely. Okay, so cognizant of time, and we are in our last 5-6 minutes or thereabouts. What takeaways will you provide to business owners, business managers, managers of people, on how best to manage today's uncertainty, Adly?
Okay, all right. Thanks, Taranjeet, for that. I think, allow me to put this across. I'm not a businessman, right? I'm here as a HR head, but in the context of business, I think where we need to look at is we need to understand that what is happening today is not just within our organization. It's not just us. Everyone else is actually in the same boat. So if we say that our organization, our company is badly impacted due to COVID, and because of that, you're feeling down and I don't think so I can survive, look at it in a different manner, because everyone is in the same page. It's not saying that now, actually, if you look at it, everyone is in the same level playing field, right? So the question is, you have to look at it in a positive manner and in a way that, what can I do now to win back the market where everyone now is having the same so-called level playing field, right? It's not supposed to be where you think about I'm doom and gloom. That's it for me. always look at it in a positive manner, where how best that I can then ride this wave. What can I do? Because if I'm not mistaken, I've read or I've listened to a podcast about a company that within 2 days after an MCO decided to say that, hey, if our current model can't work because buyers cannot come to us, let's go to them.
Yeah.
Right? And within a week, they changed the operating model and they are riding the wave of the MCO. And they're creating sales 2 times more than the normal days. Right? So when we talk about this, yes, it boils down to the ability of the individual and the resilience of the individual to start thinking differently. Okay, so as an organization, that's where I think you have to emphasize in continuously developing your people, getting them to be ready on things that you never actually forecasted, right? So those are the things that probably as business owner, always look at it in a positive manner. It's not just us, or it's not just us means that there are other people out there that is in the same boat. The question is, think differently. Okay, so I think
I think
that's
that's
my point.
that's quite a good way to sum it up, and good advice I would say to all business. I just ask you one more question before I let you go. I know, although we have a short of time, maybe in a context since you are running the HR function for a big organization like Darby Oils. So in that aspect, in a larger organization, and there are things that going to be different, definitely in lieu of all these things that is happening in the environment. What would you then be advice for people managers of similar nature? So for those people managers out there watching our show today, what would be that one advice that you want to give them, especially they work for a large conglomerate just like Sime Darby, if not any other PLCs or even multinationals? Two advice, Adly?
Two advice. I think one, always look things at the bright side, right? As I put it across, and try and empower your team more, right? I know it's not easy. I know sometimes when we say empowerment, or I'm losing some level of hold and power to my employee. I think that's not it at this stage. It's about the ability to ensure that we empower and continuously motivate and create that working environment where our employee felt that I might not be in front of you, but I know what is needed, what needs to be delivered, hence I will do it. Okay, that's one. Two is definitely, if you ask me, continue to have that conversation with your direct report, your subordinate, continue to develop them, give them some level of learning. It may be just a simple 3 minutes podcast. Share to them, get them to learn, read, watch. If you don't want to read, you watch. Because, for example, we have the elephant in the room, right? So if you don't want to read, you watch. Okay. So the view is these two things: continuously create that work environment where your people can flourish, and continuously push to develop them.
I love it. I really love it. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So,
we have come to the end of our show. Thank you, Adly, for your inputs and perspective. We will see you in a short while myself and Taranjeet will close the show. So, quick one, Taranjeet. Maybe a few summary points that you want to share with our audience.
So it's very clear in my mind, we are going to be top of agenda for Adly's talent development programs. Please watch Elephant in the Room. I love it. All right. On a serious note, I think it's always refreshing to hear a positive upside, and Adly is one person. Ever since I've known him, has that positivism in him. I like the advice that he's provided. It's a very practical, very pragmatic cause. We have always been thinking about how do we manage, and that was one of the discussions we had earlier. How do you manage these people who are working remotely? How do we ensure that there is this level of engagement with them? And these were some of the questions we asked yesterday of Renuka as a whole. And today you're seeing this come to life with Sime Darby Oils through what Adly has talked about. And I think it certainly jives with what Joachim was talking about some time back. if as long as I can manage and ensure that there's motivation in my staff, they will deliver, because that's what this is about. And there's a reciprocity between the two. The last 2 points provided by Adly in terms of the advice, I really like it. It's a very practical, it's very pragmatic, and you know what, I enjoy. I've always enjoyed discussing with Adly. There's a level of intellectualism that comes to the table, and today was no different. Very well done. Muihan?
Great. So I just want to do one last thing before we end the show, which is to talk about our tomorrow's guest, and maybe I'll just quickly get you to introduce David.
Of course, it'll be a pleasure. So David is the managing director of CMI Asia Pacific. CMI stands for the Chartered Management Institute. It is an institute for managers out of the UK. It has a royal charter, goes back quite some time. I've been very privileged to be invited in as a board member for Chartered Management Institute Regional Board for Malaysia. And what David will be doing is he'll be focusing specifically on some of the key takeaways that managers need to be looking at, the skills of managers. What are some of the lessons learned given his experience within the Southeast Asian or the APAC area? What are some of the key lessons learned? Are there anything different that we can learn from these different countries? Or fundamentally, is there a consistent theme that comes across? More importantly, a thought process about how CMI can now support the development of chartered managers to lift their game in the area that we are currently experiencing, which is uncertainty, unsettlement, and this over cloud that is currently on us. Muihan?
Thank you. So one final one is, of course, I wanted to just get your help once again to help to share our YouTube channel, Elephant in the Room. I will just quickly put the link in the comments section. If you can just share this link with at least 3 of your friends today and get them to subscribe, we will be most grateful. We are trying to push up our subscription numbers. If you can do us this favor, we are very, very thankful. So with that, thank you very much once again, and we have a great show, and we look forward to see you once again tomorrow at 6 p.m. In Elephant in the Room. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.